ladies, gents, and non-binary mates, and welcome back to My Room is a Disaster Because I'm Moving. So today's episode is actually going to be a little bit weird. Today's video is going to be a little bit different than what I normally do. I have just started. I'm part of a writer's workshop, and we challenged each other to write in a genre that isn't our usual genre. So I chose to do a paranormal romance thing, but I'm trying to make it be not cringy. So I wanted to kind of keep you guys, updated on that. I wanted this to kind of be a space for me to hold myself accountable in my progress. So today what I wanted to do was hop on The Sims 4, because I love The Sims, and try and create my two main characters. So you're about to meet Eimhin and Beckett. She was banished from her kingdom, and from the fairy world into the human realm. So the way that the Celts viewed the world was that essentially the human world and the other world were in parallel, right? They existed in tandem. So there was just this veil separating them. However, during Halloween, that's when the veil is the weakest. And now that she's been banished to the human world for so long, she meets this guy, Beckett, who she kind of feels immediately drawn to. I know, cliche. And so Beckett is your standard 1970s London punk. The setting is a bit vague. I've kind of taken a bit of Ireland, a bit of Scotland, and a bit of England and just kind of shoved it all into one place, I guess. So they live in this town called Ellenborough, and yeah, they're gonna meet and they're gonna fall in love. Anyway, I'm rambling a lot. You didn't need to know all this information, but let's get into the actual video, guys.
So we're just going to start off with our two characters. This is going to be a girl. I wasn't sure if I should already put their romantic relationship, if I should preset it, so I didn't. So essentially, little things about Eimhin. She has basically three versions of herself, so I'm going to create all three. We're going to start off with the fairy version. She's our main character, our heroine, I guess, so to speak. She has been banished from the fairy world when they found out that she was a banshee. That was her type of fairy. So now she just kind of walks around and protects the human realm, so to speak. So yeah, I wanted to go for a very traditional kind of fairy aesthetic, I guess. So kind of very delicate, very kind of almost a little alien-y. I don't know if that makes sense. But yeah, something that looked very almost like a doll, So I was really excited because I found these little elf ear things. So I thought those were really, really cute. So yeah, she'd always have those, of course. But yes, so now she kind of walks around the human world, as I was saying, and that's how she's going to meet our guy, who we'll talk about later in this video. But yeah, I think part of why I wanted to do this was just I was thinking of doing little monthly updates on my progress with my book. I thought that would be cool and would hold me accountable. But I also want you guys to kind of comment on the aesthetic, because I guess I have a very particular idea in my head, but because this is The Sims, I obviously can't do the exact same thing I have. So, if there's any outfits or hairstyles or whatever that you think are, I don't know, that you'd like to see on our girl Eimhin, you're totally welcome to. I would love for this to be kind of like a community project, so to speak. That'd be cool. So yeah, I took a while choosing her hair. I kind of just went with this one. I don't know. I think I just didn't want super crazy long hair. Partially that's because in The Sims, sometimes if you give your Sims super long hair, some of the clothes don't look right. So one of the things I did want to talk about was the color scheme, I guess, of her clothes. So because I did go through a lot of stuff, and originally I was thinking of going for a neutral or a white kind of scheme. However, part of fairy lore is that the fairies, who are essentially community fairies, are dressed in green, and then um, kind of like the loner fairies are dressed in red. So I really wanted her outfit to kind of have that red to it. I don't know if maybe I should kind of try and do a mix of the green and the red, because she technically was originally part of the overall community of what is known as the Sealy Court. But then, yeah, I think I kind of went back and forth. I wanted her to have a very like bohemian aesthetic, something very kind of simple and flowy and airy, which is why I was kind of like, yeah, I'm definitely gonna give her a dress. Um, but yeah, so I definitely settled on this dress. I kind of wanted her to have like a slightly medieval almost feel to her fairy form, even though technically the story is set in like the 70s during like peak punk era. So I don't know. Do with that what you will. I also wanted to give her a lot of like green accessories. I think that's what I ended up going with. Was I wanted despite the fact that she did have this red dress, she's kind of like still holding on to that, I guess, desire for her community. Um, so yeah. Also, this is completely unrelated, but I love going like shopping for my Sims. And sometimes I get really jealous of the things that they have. I'm like, oh my god, look at that highlighter. I wish I owned that. It's so pretty. Um, but yeah, makeup wise, sorry. Makeup wise, I just kind of wanted her to have a very, like, otherworldly. But I went for a lot of blues. I don't know why. I just think they look very pretty. So now we're moving on to her human form. So she's only taken this human form once she meets our guy. Um, just so that she can like get closer to him. She never really had like an interest in interacting with humans until she met him, because she felt drawn to him. But her being a banshee, she's much more connected with the dead than with the living. So it's, yeah, there's no point in her sort of having a living life, I guess. So, not gonna lie, her aesthetic in my mind is basically like punk meets Amy Pond from Doctor Who. I definitely wanted her to be a redhead to again reflect that sort of like, red meaning this banishment for her, this isolation. And it does. I love playing with color in my writing, so I really wanted her, every single version of her to have that red, and I want that to carry through the story. If you're wondering why I'm skipping a lot of outfits, it's because in my head I pictured her wearing a plaid skirt, and I thought I had like a perfect one, and then I wasn't crazy about what I ended up with. But I do like this one, although going over the footage, there was another one I wish I'd pointed out that I also liked. I really was considering giving her kind of like a corset and like a really like hardcore vibe, but I felt like it wouldn't be authentic to her. Because I'll show you that second corset, I was obsessed with it. I almost kept it, but it felt a little too dramatic for somebody who doesn't really want to pop in the human world. So I ended up going for just a simple sweater, and some combat boots, which I know is the cliche for being not like other girls, but I just liked it. I thought it looked cool. Yeah, I kind of wanted her to have this, like I said, kind of like an Amy Pond vibes. If you haven't seen Doctor Who, go watch Doctor Who. um, but yeah, that is our girl, our lovely little redhead version of Eimhin. And from here, after we get through the makeup, we're going to move on to the banshee version of herself. So banshees, and their forms wouldn't actually change, but I decided I wanted them to be different. So we kind of have the ethereal, fairy, very otherworldly, kind of angelic version. And then the human version is somewhere in between. Oh yeah, I did want to say I did have to change like the skin overlay, because sometimes these don't work very well with the makeup. So yeah, I changed it, but she's still very pale, as she was meant to be. Um, but yes, sorry, where was I? Oh yeah. So I kind of wanted to have like a stark contrast between her three forms. So I think her human form is somewhere in the middle. It's always going to be kind of like this cross between the otherworldly and then like the world of the dead. So yeah, I pictured her having a very raggedy dress. Obviously, The Sims content was not very helpful there. Although, shout out to the people who do make free custom content. Y'all are super talented, and I wish I knew how you even do this. But I was convinced I wanted her in like a white dress. I did consider this kind of like dirty dress, but I wanted her to have something kind of layered. So I did find this corpse bride dress, which is kind of the closest thing I found to what I was looking for. She'd ideally be barefoot, but it looks weird on The Sims, so I just kind of gave her some little white flants. And I did have this really, really cool hair. Well, I had two different ones kind of like flowing in the wind because I kind of wanted her banshee aesthetic to represent kind of like the moment before she screams. So, she's kind of like ferocious winds and all that. Let me know with the eye makeup because I did go back and forth between kind of like that crying one and this one I settled for. If you like the other one better, but again, I was trying to keep that aesthetic of the red kind of always piercing through everything. Not gonna lie, kind of obsessed with her. Not gonna lie, I feel like her banshee version is very much inspired by Amy Lee from Evanescence, which was unintentional, but makes sense that I would do it. But yes, this is our girl, Eimhin Whitaker. I didn't talk about her traits. I just made her kind of like a botanist, and I don't think her traits really matter here. So this is going to be our guy. His name's Beckett Reagan. He is hardcore into the punk scene. Things you need to know about him is that he is very family-centered despite not really being close with his family. His father was in an accident at sea where he was taken by some very evil fairies. And then he doesn't have a relationship with his mother because after his father's death, she kind of went, she kind of spiraled into drinking, and there's some drama with the death of his brother that I won't give away just yet. But yes, I wanted him to be very much like a traditional 1970s punk with a mohawk and everything. It's kind of hard to find the hair, so I don't know that I got my exactly ideal version of him, but yes, I wanted him to have red hair, but like probably like Kool-Aid red, not like redhead. Because again, I wanted that theme of like being a loner to come through that color red. So like I said, it's gonna play a big part in the story. So yes, essentially, I wanted to give him a very sharp, angular face. Honestly, just because I find them interesting to look at. So we'll be seeing a lot of that. If you're wondering about anything else, the story kind of takes place in a hodgepodge of Scotland, Ireland, and England. So yeah, there were some cool mohawks. I didn't know how to get them to actually change color from green, and I didn't want the green. So I think I just ended up going. I was considering this hairstyle, so let me know if you like it, but it didn't scream like punk. So I ended up with actually one of the presets, some of the original, Create a Sim mohawk. I thought that one was pretty cool. I did actually end up doing two versions of him because I ended up putting a hat, like a beanie on him, and I loved it. So yeah, with Reagan, we're kind of gonna have. I'm still developing him. I'm still not sure how he's gonna be. I don't think he's gonna be necessarily kind of like your cliche bad boy. I think he's gonna always be a good guy. And, he's just kind of gonna be very involved in the politics of the time. So, being in the punk scene, he was very much into like the anarchy scene, and I've been reading up a lot about it. and learning a lot, which is very interesting because, when we talk about anarchy, we kind of think like chaos and everything. That's not really what it's about. So it's really just about removing government and, in the hopes of people kind of forming their own groups. I don't know. It kind of sounded pretty much like socialism without any government. So I was down for that. I really did want him to go like in with the makeup. I don't know if that's because I am. I don't know. I don't know. I mean, I know a big part of it was, influenced by the original punk scene, and then a big part of it was also just involved with like the current punk scene, which does kind of play around with makeup and, kind of that was the whole point of punk culture, right? It's kind of not caring about all these norms and kind of breaking standards and expectations. So I did want him to sort of have that mix of I guess I kind of wanted him to be slightly androgynous to an extent. Um, Ignore the bruising. Honestly, I wanted to get one eye color to be different from the other, and this was the only way that I could do it. So ignore it. Anyway, tattoos galore, of course. Yeah, I want him to have quite a harsh aesthetic, but just kind of more in keeping with the times and not so much in like making him a cliche bad boy, which is what I'm struggling with right now. I'm very out of my depths writing fantasy. I'm a historical fiction kind of gal, so I'm used to being able to just look up everything and know exactly where I'm going. So, again, the plaid is going to play a role. A, because it was just a part of like punk. You see a lot of older pictures with plaid, and B, because well, Ireland, Scotland, everyone has their tartans and stuff. So, where was I going? Oh yes. So I guess I might discuss my issues later in a different video. I have a really hard time with dialogue, and I guess it just, it obviously takes a while for you to get to know a character. So I guess I'm trying to find his voice because I don't want him to fall into like the cliche pitfalls of like, oh yeah, he's a punk, so he likes breaking stuff and smoking, and he's like aggressive. But he only changes when he meets this. I kind of want to avoid those cliches, those pitfalls. So I don't know. I guess we can discuss that in a separate video. Complete side note, he ended up kind of looking like my dream boy. So if anyone has any cute punk boys, send them my way. No, but yeah, this is the only thing. So I was gonna say, with the beanie, obviously, again, this is supposed to be in the 70s. His beanie is like a My Chemical Romance thing. Ignore that. Obviously, just imagine he has not a My Chemical Romance beanie on. But yeah, like I said, I kind of wanted to create two versions of him.
All right. Thank you guys so much for watching. Make sure to leave a like if you enjoyed it and if you want more Sims-based content. Also, let me know in the comments down below if there were any particular like styles you preferred, or if you have any suggestions on what other little things I could add into this world to make it a bit more real. And if you want me to do like little house tours for like The Sims, like for Eimhin's world and for Beckett's, also let me know that in the comments below. Make sure to subscribe for more videos like these. I am here once a week, usually doing book reviews, but I also do language videos and all sorts of other fun stuff. And hit that notification bell so you know when I upload. I'm trying to be consistent and keep it to Wednesdays, but we'll see, because like I said, I'm moving soon. So hit the notification bell so you know exactly when I upload, and I will see you guys next time.